Hey YouTube, it is one is the Open Great League, so I'll do top teams for that this afternoon, and that's the one we just had, so I think most people will play that. There's also Fossil Cup, and Fossil Cup has been around for not only a while, but it has already been around this season, about a month and a half ago. So water, rock, steel type Pokemon only, which means anything water just has a general advantage, and then because and that water resists steel and hits super effective against rock, so advantage for water. And then of course those with secondary typings always have an advantage in these metas. So let's go over the rankings, and then we'll go over teams that I used or showcased earlier in the season, and then one from Home Slice. Okay, so that is the list. Not surprised. You should not be surprised what's on this list, right? So water set has an advantage because it resists steel and hits super effective against rock. So Gastrodon, Mud Slap user, Mud Slap super effective against both rock and steel. Huge advantage up there at the top. Jellicent just generally safe as well. Bulky, spammy, surf, shadow ball, great coverage. Poliwrath, a counter user, rock and steel both weak to counter, so that is why it is very highly ranked. And then you got your Lantern, Whiscash on there as well. Lantern, because there's only 3 typings and 1 is water, so being able to hit super effective against these Jellicents and Poliwraths and stuff. And then Whiscash, just a poor man's Gastrodon at this point. So water. Oh, Glycopod I guess is on here as well as a water. Spammy with the Shadow Claw as opposed to the Fury Cutter, because steel would resist the Fury Cutter, so just going more neutral with the Claw. And then X's or Aqua Jets. So there's those. You got some steels on this list. Togedemaru as the steel electric. Obviously electric I just mentioned has a lot of play against all these water Pokemon. Ferrothorn, there is a big Ferrothorn should be everywhere, because as you can see, water should dominate this meta. Ferrothorn dominates the waters, so you'll see a lot of that. Scizor and Fortress, 2 buffed Pokemon this season, Fury Cutter and Bug Bite buffs. Fury Cutter just makes it very spammy, so it's not even running Bullet Punch, which I guess makes sense because Bullet Punch is resisted by both steel and water. So running with the Fury Cutter just for the fast energy generation with Trailblaze, you get into it quicker. Only 12 and Night Slash only 9. Fortress with the Bug Bite that got buffed this season. I forgot in the water, Tauros is also water, Aqua Tauros. Like I have an Aqua Tauros team submitted that I'm going to go over, but you can just use Poliwrath if you do not have Tauros, which I do not think most people do. Steelix, another one in here, Thunderfang user, so attacking the waters there. Lucario, fighting is good against both rock and steel, so a few fighters on this list between Poliwrath, Tauros, and Lucario. Berserker with the close combat and Trailblaze, just nice, very nice coverage on the move there. It should be a pretty good safe swap. Credillia is your first rock Pokemon, but again, kind of getting in mostly because of its secondary grass typing being able to hit super effective against your water Pokemon. So pretty small meta. Not a lot of rocks, because rock's just going to have a bad time with water and steel. So that's why Credillia is the only rock on this list, and then there's just a crap ton of steels and water. So with that, you have a lot of options. Some Pokemon you're going to see on this list are not even mentioned on that list, like Makargo. Makargo is usually always one of those, is another rock, and always dominant in limited meta cups. So this one's not any different. So this is a very balanced team. Ferrothorn, Golisopod, Gastrodon. Golisopod is your safe swap. Ferrothorn going to be weak to fighting and fire. So Golisopod is your safe swap. Gastrodon obviously will deal with the fire if you see any of those. And then Gastrodon weak to grass, Golisopod and Ferrothorn, not an amazing answers to grass, but you can kind of deal with it. And there's not much grass in this meta, right? You're going to see like Ferrothorn, Credillia. I think there's like a Razor Leaf for like Ludicolo, but that's half water, so you do well there. So I think Ferrothorn just has so much play in this meta. Gastrodon is Mud Slap user, Golisopod safe swap. So very balanced team, very easy to run there. Togedemaru double fighter, so Poliwrath and Lucario. Togedemaru, basically you are just as long as it's not like a mud boy and it's just sort of like evenish matchup, wild charge or double wild charge and bail. You can kind of go either as a safe swap, quite honestly. Lucario is very, very glassy as a safe swap, but you can really put on pressure with that Force Palm Shadow Ball combo. Poliwrath gives you a little more bulk. Also could be walled if you get something like a Jellicent, right? So Poliwrath, a little more risky as a safe swap. Lucario can act as a safe swap, but very, very glassy. But double fighters in the back, excuse me, lots of steals, couple rocks, and then Poliwrath also as a fighter that deals with water Pokemon, because you have water, does give it a lot of play in this meta. That's why it's a top 10 ranked Pokemon. Just obviously Jellicent is an absolute wall to this. Another balanced team. I still have Bullet Punch on it because I think I just forgot to change it. But Gastrodon, Berserker, Scizor, so double steel, double weak to fire in the back. Again, Magcargo is in this, you will see. And because of all these steals, Berserker, Scizor, Fairthorn, which is grass, steel, double weak to fire, you will see a bunch of Magcargos. So that's why I think Gastrodon also has a lot of play, because you'll deal with a lot of waters, and you'll deal with the steals, and you'll deal with the rock. And Magcargo as the best answer. So Berserker, safe swap on this team. Shadow Claw, very spammy, foul play, close combat. Close combat's a nuke. Likely to grab a shield if you safe swap, pull out potentially Magcargo, punish it with Gastrodon, have your Scizor that is double weak to fire, roam free. So in sort of ABB style steel team. There's your Magcargo. Like I said, there's a lot of things weak to fire in this meta, but there's also a lot of water. So it's one of those, does it have play? Absolutely. Do you need to cover its weaknesses? Absolutely. So Poliwrath, Ludicolo. This one, Ludicolo, is a Razor Leafer. So it's kind of an interesting one where you can kind of maybe catch your opponent off guard, hiding a Razor Leafer in the back, especially if you get like a any water Pokemon, and the Mud Boy's double weak to grass, or even Jellicent single weak, or Rock's weak too. So even Credilli would be neutral. Kind of hide it in the back, and then surprise Razor Leaf your opponent down. But yeah, Magcargo is going to be double weak to ground, double weak to water. Got to cover those weaknesses, which you do with these two Pokemon. There's your Tauros. Again with the Poliwrath, I guess it is a top 10 Pokemon, and a lot of people had it built from Community Day and previous seasons when it was very meta, so it's not surprising that it is used a lot. But this is very, very, very similar to the team that I used with Lucario. So it's just replacing Lucario with Tauros. And Tauros maybe gives you a little more coverage with that Aqua Jet Trailblaze, so a better option than Poliwrath if you're worried about Jellicent in the back. So, but again, same sort of concept. These are both water fighters, so we'll have the same weaknesses in the back, so just pull out one of those weaknesses. Gyarados. So there's two Pokemon here, Jellicent and Gyarados. Jellicent is an obvious strong Pokemon in this meta. Bulky, spammy with Hex, Shadow Ball does great. Surf for the rock. You can live like most, at least one grass move from like Credilli. You resist the acid if it's running acid. So lots of strengths with Jellicent. Shadow Gyarados. Some content creator, I don't know which one started it, used Shadow Gyarados, and damn, it is difficult to play against. The Dragon Breath damage really adds up. You do only take 12 to an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail in itself is not a good move, but when you get same type attack bonus and you get a Shadow bonus on top of that, those Aqua Tails do start adding up. Crunch for some coverage in case you go against a water Pokemon. You know, you resist water. You have Aqua Tail for the rocks, and just as long as it's not a steel that resists the Dragon Breath, you can do well in pretty much all neutral situations. So Jellicent, Magcargo actually has like some sneaky bulk. So both Jellicent and Magcargo are able to take moves as pending they're not just like super effective or double super effective, and then save your shield for Gyarados, and then Gyarados just with sort of raw Dragon Breath damage with some Aqua Tail, decent spam at 12 there, will be able to kind of sweep in the back. Okay, Magnezone, Jellicent, Glacepod. I'm like, okay, what's new here? Not much. Magnezone's new. Jellicent I just went over. Glacepod I've gone over why it's so strong as a safe swap. You should know that already from previous seasons. Magnezone, a lot of water in the meta. Togedemaru, Magnezone are going to play very similar roles, just a Wild Charge and Bail. Volt Switch obviously does more damage, but slower to get to the Wild Charge versus Thunder Shock. Both secondary moves on these Pokemon, Fell Stinger and Mirror Shot, are not good moves. So you're really relying on that Wild Charge. Cover your ground weakness, that's going to resist the electric. Covering the ground weakness with two water Pokemon in the back. And Steelix, Gliscod, Arcanid. So double bug water in the back. So you're trying to draw out an electric. You safe swap Golisopod. Steelix is running Thunderfang because it is super effective against water and hits neutral against steel and rock, I'm pretty sure, as well, as opposed to Dragon Tail, which would be resisted by steels. But, you know, if you're trying to pull out an electric, like if you're trying to pull out a Togedemaru or one of those other Pokemon, you maybe want to run Dragon Tail for this team. Gliscod is the safe swap. Try and draw out an electric Pokemon. Punish it with your ground there in Steelix, and then Arcanid will roam free in the back. Arcanid with the Bug Bite buff this season as well. So a lot of ABB style teams, and Home Slice has some close variation of this. Is it the exact same team? No. Close though. We're very close to like molding these teams here. So, so this one was Gliscod, Jellicent with Magnezone. And then this one was Gliscod and Arcanid with Steelix. And to round it out, you have Gliscod, Jellicent, and Arcanid. So the double bugs, just with Jellicent. So as you can see, and he said he went something stupid like 40 some odd wins and 11 losses or something like that, which is why I'm showcasing this team. But as you can see, the meta is small. The waters have a huge advantage. These spammier water Pokemon with ghost moves that there's not, I don't know if there's any normal Pokemon in this meta that resists the ghost and the dark. Probably not any, like dark, probably not either. So just a lot of freedom with some of these Pokemon like this. And then have your Bug Bite user bulky in the back, where does a lot, like fantastic answer to a lot of water Pokemon, right? If you get a Gastrodon where you resist the ground on the bug, you're going to have a great time. If Steel resists your Bug Bite, you're going to have a bad time, right? So just balance those teams if you're going to use that. But as you can see by all those teams, and as you can see by the rankings here, it is a pretty limited meta. I personally don't see a reason to play this if you have... Here's the reason why you play limited metas. One, you think the Open Great League has too many options. There's like 80 viable Pokemon in Open Great League right now, and it feels RPS. This one is going to be... It'll feel a little RPS, but this one is... There's only like 20 Pokemon you need to know. So in Limited Cups, if you find a team that you're comfortable with, you can learn the matchups quicker because you know what's coming. You know the 20 Pokemon that are coming. So you don't know the ins and outs of the matchups. You know ins and outs of the... It's easier to know the moves and the move counts of the Pokemon if you only need to memorize 20 as opposed to the Open Great League where there's so many. So there's just a lot of strengths with Limited Cups. You know, I prefer Open Great League as opposed to these Limited Cups. I really don't want to see Fairthorn, Jellicent, Gliscod plus teams a million times in a row. I'd rather have that variety that comes with the Open Great League. So we'll go over those teams this afternoon. But let me know in the description, or comments, I guess I should say, what are you playing this time around? What do you want to see? I'm almost positive it's going to be Great League, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if you had fun playing with, because again, this was on a month and a half ago. So if you had fun playing with it, or playing it a month and a half ago, and you want to play again, let me know. But I think for the most part, we will cover Great League this week. So stay tuned this afternoon for that. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one.